Welcome back, folks, to another exciting episode of the Spotlight series. In our previous episode, we explored inspiring stories from leaders across diverse backgrounds, each sharing their visionary ideas that have brought remarkable change to their organizations and communities. Today, we turn our focus to an equally important and transformative topic: renewable energy. And to make this conversation even more special, we have an extraordinary guest with us, Miss Audrey Fillon. Miss Fillon is a truly trailblazer in the field of renewable energy, and her contributions are shaping a cleaner and more sustainable future. So, sit back, stay tuned, and let's dive into this through provoking discussion on how innovation and dedication are powering the world forward. Let's get started. Over to you, Miss Andre.
Thank you so much. Super happy to be here. Yeah, my name is Audrey. I'm originally from France, but I've been living abroad for over 10 years now. And I'm the CEO of Oorja, which is an organization working and based in India. And we do impact work in the space and sector of regenerative agriculture and renewable energies. So Oorja has developed a really unique business model around renewable energies in, again, the agricultural sector in India. So the service that we offer specifically solar-powered irrigation. Put very simply, we're targeting farmers that are usually working between 1 and 2 acres maximum, so quite small, and mostly in northeastern India. Right now we're operating in 6 districts in UP, in Uttar Pradesh, but we're working on some expansion plans. So we effectively install solar pumps that the farmers will use to irrigate their fields, right? That's the basic. Again, at the business model, where we have developed what we call a pay-per-use, a PBU business model. So our pay-per-use model means that basically we install the pumps. It's a community-based model where around 15 farmers, more or less, will share one pump. They will all contribute a really small membership fee to commit to engaging basically with the service. We'll charge them basically for the water used only. So our organization will basically hold what we call the CapEx, right? The capital expenditure, and we commission, install, operate, maintain the pumps throughout their life cycle. So the farmers effectively get access to that service, but only to the service and
A lifetime.
correct.
And how much cost it will be
For the farmers.
to the farmer?
So about 4 rupees per cubic meter, which may not mean a lot for the listeners right now, but effectively what it means is that it will be between 20 and 40% cheaper than diesel alternatives.
Okay.
Yeah. So this really varies, obviously, depending on the space and the geographical location and so on, but just so that you get a range. The bottom line is that this also means that those farmers tend to under-irrigate because irrigation is expensive for them, right? So now that we basically provide them with access to clean and affordable irrigation, it allows them, for example, to grow curd season, the Zayed season, which is usually the one that is avoided, or to diversify the crops that they use to focus a bit more on cash crops, and so on and so forth. And this means that their overall income is also increased because they're more productive, their yield is higher, they spend less on inputs, and they spend less on water. So we also have a whole branch of Oorja, which basically supports this system and the service that I just described around climate smart advisory services.
What challenges did you face currently as a COO of the organization?
So the agricultural sector is quite challenging in general, right? Especially in India within the sector, we're playing with a lot of subsidies or schemes that may be supporting our services or not necessarily, right? So this is definitely one element. I would say the one that I would like to put the highlight on is we are a social enterprise, right? So we're a for-profit organization that is very strongly impacts driven.
Yes.
So it means that we operate in this in-between space where our target customers are last mile farmers, meaning they are those people, those beneficiaries, those customers that have a very low income by definition. And our impact is really designed so that their income can increase as well as their productivity and so on. Yes. So this in itself is a really challenging and for me fascinating space that I love working with, because we're really again at the intersection between those two sectors. So we operate as a for-profit within a market that is really challenging and really competitive, especially in the agricultural sector. As you know, there is huge players that really hold this market and control it to a certain extent. Our ability as an organization to really scale fast and to expand the services, yes.
Any movie or book would you like to recommend?
Okay, so I have a movie, a documentary recommendation, but it has nothing to do with agriculture.
Okay.
However, it had a lot to do with change, change making in some sense. So
As a leader, yeah.
exactly, it may still be relevant. I watched it very recently, actually. The name is Tehachapi. Maybe I can send you the name and you can write it in the caption for the listeners and the viewers. Tehachapi is a documentary that was produced and realized by an artist called JR, who is a sort of quite similar to Banksy. So there's a lot of pop art style arts that is really focused on taking over public spaces, putting the human forward. And Tehachapi is this documentary that focuses specifically on a project that he ran in one of California's high security prisons, which is extremely inspiring. The reason I'm mentioning it now is because for a lot of people that work in systems change or in change making in general, it can get quite tiring. There's a lot of forces at play, as I just mentioned, right? We're trying to do the work we want and we're trying to bring change in the world. Right. And there's huge forces that sometimes feel like they're going against us. And this documentary is just a really nice reminder that no matter at what scale we operate, we can bring change and we really have this agency. Most of us at least have this agency to do that. So it was quite a nice piece of hope for me and maybe for the listeners always.
How your leadership shapes in the last 5 years?
It's a really good question. So over the past 10 years, I basically went from working at global level to working at local level. And now I'm sort of in between, working at both levels at the same time, which is where I'm most comfortable and I feel most in alignment. But so to answer your question on the 5 years, I started the 2020s working again in grassroots projects at local level. And this was for me a really, I guess, needed and refreshing phase after working in international developments at a global level for quite a while. So I really needed to reconnect with what it means to be on the ground. What does it mean to be in the field, to understand better and to connect more with the stories that I was telling, the stories of change, right? And it really brought me also, I think, a lot of humility. Sometimes when we work at systems level or at policy level, we tend to forget that the reason we're doing this work and the reason we're trying to shift those huge building blocks of society is because of the individual, right? Is because of the human and the humans behind those big words and those policy papers and those, grandiose frameworks. So it was really meaningful for me to sort of reestablish that link also with myself. And then from this, especially with Oorja, but also with the work I did before, I kind of really worked to sort of build it back up to network level and to global level. So having sort of reconnected and re-understood with the human stories to then engage with or create initiatives and projects that were really looking at the puzzle pieces all brought back together. Me and my leadership and others to really connect this local level with the global level is where I feel most aligned, because there is this sort of daily reminder of who am I doing this for? What is the system really supporting?
Would you like to share a case study which you worked as a CEO and which changed your perspectives?
Yeah, sure. So recently I was part of the leadership team, also a CEO for a network level event for the regenerative ecosystem. So regenerative ecosystem, just to define it very quickly, is sustainability 2.0, basically. What happens if we take sustainability to the next level? So it's a systems change approach to looking at all the corners and the building blocks of human culture. So what is a regenerative economy, leadership, agriculture, and so on and so forth. And the organization of this network and the events that were behind it was a fascinating dive for me, again, into the individual, but also into how all those individuals connect to create an ecosystem that supports one another. So it was for me a really very beautiful reminder of the importance of diversity and of cultivating this diversity when we see it in our teams as leaders. Secondly, it's very easy to fall into the trap of putting people in roles. I'm hiring a human resource manager, I'm hiring a sales assistant, and to always keep an eye open as to, even though a person was hired for a certain role within the framework and the constraints of the work, is something that I'm really passionate about and that I really learned again in those previous roles where I was really exposed to the diversity of human interests and powers, and also to how much each one of those really at the end of the day contributes to an ecosystem or sector or or space growing and expanding.
Great, great, very inspiring. It's absolutely honored to have you here.
Thank you so much. Hi guys, this is Audrey from Oorja. Stay tuned with Clubtv.
Thank you, Audrey, and
Thank you so much.
for your time.
Thanks.
So, guys, that was a Miss Audrey Fillon, a true game changer, transforming the lives of farmers and making their businesses more profitable through groundbreaking technology. Her work is a testament to how innovation can uplift communities and create a sustainable future. As always, stay tuned for more inspiring leadership stories and impactful conversation right here on Spotlight series. Until next time, this is Rajan Moga, your host, signing off on Club TV. Take care and stay inspired.